10 days away from the entire series being closed and finished forever. Do you feel like you've already closed the chapter on that, or is this going to be also a bit of a kind of some closure for you as well once it finally comes to a complete end?
No, I mean,
Claire. As the on-demand entertainment reporter pointed out, Claire Foy was asked about the Crown series finale just shortly before it started streaming, along with the other final 5 on December 14th, where this happened.
I don't know what you think you're doing.
So Claire could have been struggling with her answer over closure, because she could have said, I had great closure, because I was there on the final day shooting a scene with Imelda and Olivia. But no, she didn't say that.
I haven't been in it for, I did the series 1 and 2 were a very long time ago. I can't even do the maths.
It was in April, so yeah, 8 months ago, yeah. But no, Claire did not spoil the Spider-Man-like reveal in the final episode.
Yeah, I think Imelda's extraordinary, and I think it will be a really significant moment in television.
Bloody hell, she was right about that. And no one got a thing out of Imelda Staunton.
Everyone is always obsessed about what's it going to be. Well, I'll tell you what it's going to be. You're going to turn it on and watch it. That's what it's going to be.
That probably would have come off as bitchy from a non-Brit. With that accent, it just sounded so sweet.
Did you ever have discussions with Claire Foy and Olivia Colman, either at the beginning or the end of this role, just about sharing this space with them?
I think Imelda was just having so much fun with this unknowingly very on-the-nose question from NPR.
No, I don't think we did, really. We just, it's funny because I don't think we've all been in a room together.
No? Never, Imelda? Oh.
That would have been interesting.
Yes, we would have to imagine how interesting that would be.
I suppose we've each had a very different experience. I've made that up. I don't know if we have, but it feels like we have, because, of course, we were queens at different times.
In November, Queen number 2, Olivia Colman, was asked if she thought the Crown was getting too close to current times on the News Agents podcast.
I feel uncomfortable answering questions about whether or not the Crown should have stopped before now.
You coward. Why didn't you tell him?
Because you wouldn't see my final appearance in 3 weeks if it did stop. Okay, I'll stop.
I loved the job. It was a great job. I'm not a spokesperson for the royal family. Don't know them. I can understand, I can feel that maybe it's too close to home.
Have you watched it? Did it make you
I haven't yet. I haven't watched the new ones yet. I has become more uncomfortable, but Peter Morgan writes beautifully, and I had a lovely time doing the job.
I'm sure she had a lovely time shooting those final moments with the 2 other Liz's.
How tired? No, not just tired. Exhausted you are by it all.
Yes.
I remember it so fondly, and it was such an important period of my life. And I'm really proud to have been part of the show. I think it tried to do something really interesting.
Honestly, I've never heard so much nonsense.
We were in a piece of television that was a huge experiment. I think the experiment paid off.
Have you forgotten the oath that you took? I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service.
Having the 3 ladies unite gave the finale enormous weight, despite the show ending its narrative in a rather mundane point in the Queen's life.
People have said to me, when are you ending it? And I say, in 2005. They go, what happened? And you say, well, Charles married Camilla.
Charles and Camilla? Boring. But no, to choose that moment to end the series ended up being brilliant. Because finally the show comes back to being about the Queen.
So we had to construct narratively an episode in which you were genuinely satisfied that you had reached the end, even though you were almost 20 years from the end.
But that's just the backdrop, because it is when she gave a speech at the reception.
For the Prince of Wales.
Which attendees said was surprisingly sentimental.
And as an addition to this family. Thank you for your patience and forbearance.
Plus the planning of her and Philip's funeral, and she's just about to turn 80, and her mom and her sister died in the last couple of years, so yeah, definitely the kind of groundwork was there to have the character have an introspective moment.
So I wrote the final episode being an internal conversation that the Queen was having about whether she should carry on or whether she should hand over to Charles.
And while there's no proof that the Queen ever considered giving up the throne, because if she was considering it at 80, she definitely would have probably stepped down at 90, but no. I'm okay with that narrative license more than Dan and me and Kate, because the Queen never actually discusses it or mentions it to anyone on screen.
I thought one could dramatise the eternal dialogue with her in conversation with her younger self.
Like if she had had a scene where she debated it with Prince Philip, I would have had a problem with that. But no, executive producer Suzanne Mackey says to the Hollywood Reporter, "We deliberately, very consciously didn't let that happen because she wouldn't. That would be disingenuous and doing her a disservice. She would never abdicate. Of course she wouldn't. Her duty and pledge was to serve till the day she died, and that's what she did. She did it beautifully."
Remember, I was so young.
You were always ready. You were born ready. You are one of a kind.
See, I loved it. I did not love the final season at all, which I mentioned in the previous segment, and I'll get more into it when I do a segment on Charles and William and how that was depicted. But no, I love this finale.
I think Peter Morgan has made sure we told this part of the story absolutely brilliantly.
The Telegraph disagrees with Imelda, giving the entire season 2 out of 5 stars, saying Peter makes the mistake of writing his characters with too much hindsight, which I do agree with. And of the finale, they write, "The Queen spends the final episode tearily contemplating her demise, but was she really doing that back in 2005? Or does Morgan just need a way to throw forward to her death and make his final scene seem terribly poignant?" Collider only gave the final season 3 out of 10, but they like the finale, saying, "With Elizabeth back to the forefront, it only feels like a brief glimmer of what could have been a stronger return to form at the very end." The reaction to the finale has been all over the place, as the Huffington Post pointed out. iNews called it a near perfect ending, while Esquire called it a mesmerizing mess, and the Sydney Morning Herald called it a fitting, elaborate sign-off.
The world we're in is we do these parts and we talk about them, and whatever anyone says or thinks, that's them, and we can't. I don't want to. To be honest, it doesn't actually interest me because it's totally out of our control. Yeah.
Now, it's well known that the show was in the middle of production when the Queen died in September 2022, and Peter revealed to Variety even before these final episodes were released, we'd all been through the experience of the funeral. So because of how deeply everybody will have felt that, I had to try and find a way in which the final episode dealt with the character's death, even though she hadn't died yet.
When all the people queued up to see her coffin, it was people saying thank you to a person who had done their job for what must have seemed like 400 years as far as she was concerned, her whole life, every single day. And I think we all found it incredibly moving.
Yeah, so Peter was already writing the final episode when she died, and it seems like the device of having Claire and Olivia back was already in place. But the big question I was wondering when I watched the finale was, do you think they would have had the scene with the coffin if the Queen was still, alive and on throne? I think that's a no. Her inner dialogue was about her abdicating the throne, not her passing away. Peter hasn't revealed what the adjustment was that he made to the script in the wake of her death, but yeah, I highly suspect it's the scene with the coffin, and even that final shot too, which of course comes across as her entering the afterlife, like the heaven's pearly gates opening up for her. I love that shot, especially the fact that they let it play out completely. Like, I was wondering if they're gonna cut it when she was like halfway down the hall or something like that, but no, it's the full 75-second shot of her, walking towards those doors. And executive producer Suzanne says they just got that shot in time. We only had 1 minute left to film. If we'd gone over, it would have been expensive, frankly, which means they're about to go into crew overtime, which, as soon as you go 1 second over their allotted time, it's cha-ching. I could feel Claire and Olivia behind me watching the monitor, as we anxiously knew we only had 1 more minute, so we had to get it. And at the end of it, we all just knew we'd got it. I think The Crown got it, nailed it. In the finale, the rest of season 6, not so much. What do you think?